Namaskar. Welcome to today's podcast, organized under the theme of Swachhata Hi Seva, celebrating a decade of impactful change through the Swachh Bharat Mission. Launched in 2014 by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, this nationwide campaign has been a transformative force in eliminating open defecation and improving solid waste management across India. As one of the largest cleanliness drives in the world, it continues to inspire public awareness and action for cleaner and healthier nation. In today's episodes, we are honored to have with us Ganga Nandini Ji, Director of Project Implementation and Communication of the Global Interfaith WASH Alliance. Welcome, Ganga Nandini Ji.
Thank you, Priyaji.
Ganga Nandini Ji is a youth leader who has recognized the immense power of faith and serves as a director of implementation, integration, and communication for the Global Interfaith WASH Alliance, GIWA, the world's first ever international interfaith initiative. Born and raised in Los Angeles, California, she graduated from University of California. Spiritually inspired by the sacred national river Ganga during her visit to India in 2010, she felt a call to serve His Holiness Pujya Swami Chidanand Saraswati Ji, founder and chair of Jiva and president of the Paramarth Niketan Ashram Rishikesh, a sacred abode welcoming people from every faith and walk of life. She is a certified yoga teacher with over 14 years of experience. Ganga Nandini Ji feels inspired to live yoga through service. She also serves as the Vice President of the Harijan Sevak Sangh of Uttarakhand, the Secretary General of India Yoga Association Uttarakhand chapter, and plays a key leadership roles in Ganga Action Parivar and Divine Shakti Foundation. In these capacities, she dedicated her life to coordinating and implementing large scale, multifaceted initiatives, especially mobilizing interfaith leaders and faith based communities in India to work together towards achieving the sustainable development goals and protecting the environment. We are very honored to have you with us, Ganga Nandini Ji. Welcome. Today, as she has joined us to share her insights from her journey as Director of Projects at Jiva, working in implementing multifaceted interfaith initiatives in various parts of India and utilizing the power of faith in achieving and sustaining the goal of Swachh Bharat. We are here to understand your journey as a Swachhata champion, and we would like to hear from you about the various initiatives of Jiva. Over to you, Ganga Nandini Ji.
So I think, as you mentioned, Priyaji, we realized the power of faith in really bringing about sustainable change. And the Global Interfaith WASH Alliance has been such a beautiful initiative that was and is one of the world's first initiatives to bring together different faith traditions to improve water and sanitation and hygiene. Primarily, we started with WASH, and now it's expanded to health, hygiene, and harmony, and really kind of a vast spectrum of what we can do to actually be the change we want to see in the world. And GIWA was launched at the UNICEF headquarters in 2013. And so it's in a few short years, it's been really paralleling and working together with the Swachh Bharat Mission to see how through the work that the Swachh Bharat Mission is doing and through our commitment for improved WASH, how can we align the forces and leverage faith to really create an impactful change. And so GIWA really works on such a vast spectrum of different initiatives and brings in innovative approaches because I think faith traditions have a capacity to influence stakeholders from various different backgrounds, whether it's government officials, whether it's corporates, whether it's the masses, or it's CSOs. Many also hold a number of different CSOs or NGOs or humanitarian efforts that they lead, as well as schools and educational facilities. So the ability to really tap into the infrastructure that faith organizations have to create a lasting difference for a Swachh and Sundar Bharat.
That's very promising to hear. As they say, faith can move mountains, but you are utilizing the power of faith to build toilets, promote sanitation, hygiene, and inspire climate action. Can you share with us some of the Jiva's work which aligns with this thought?
Yes, I think you've said so beautifully. This is what Puja Sadhiji often speaks about, that we often say faith can move mountains. And she says, we don't want our mountains to be moved. We like them where they are. But what we really need to move is the rigidness and the mountains of stigma and taboo, and social evils that actually hinder our ability to progress and to adapt with a changing world. And so I think a lot of the work that the Global Interfaith WASH Alliance has been doing is really how do we utilize, when we say, okay, 84% of people all across the globe believe and prescribe to a faith tradition. That's immense. And in India, it's more than 90%, even 99%. And so, if faith leaders can come together for advocating for issues like, Swachh Bharat, ending open defecation in India, ensuring that children have access to improved wash facilities, ensuring that hand hygiene and so much of the sustainable development goals are aligned with so much of the work that the faith traditions are doing, as well as ensuring that our environment and Mother Earth and Mother Nature are protected. So I think a lot of beautiful alignment was already there, Priyaji. And I think when Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji gave this call for a Swachh Bharat, um, we were very excited to join because so much of what we do already is about that. And I'm actually going to, Priyaji, segue into sort of the conception of GIWA, if you may. It's like, the seed that was planted. So, as you mentioned, Puja Swami Chidanand Saraswati Ji Maharaj, he is the founder and the chair of the Global Interfaith WASH Alliance. And it was started at the UNICEF headquarters, and we've been working very closely with UNICEF and other UN agencies as well over the course of these many years. But, what I feel like was the beautiful seed to the conception of GIWA was this story that Pujya Swamiji shares, Priyaji, that I'd love to share with you and everybody that is watching today. That Pujya Swamiji, he loves walking in the morning. So he wake up before sunrise, just before sunrise, and he takes a morning walk. And in that morning walk, he used to many years ago walk along the banks of Ganga. And at that time, the ghats were not there. It was just the sandy dunes and then the river Ganga. And so in the morning, he would see people with their lota and they'd be walking and they'd be answering nature call. Because at that time, ashrams had rooms, but there weren't necessarily toilets there. And so where would you go, And there's free flowing water right there. So people would actually go and answer nature's call. And Swamiji would be just so hurt and so pained to see this sacred river that he loves and he reveres being sullied like this. And maybe not sort of consciously by the devotees, but sort of unconsciously by the devotees. But so he took this pledge that, he said, gandagi और बंदगी दोनों साथ नहीं जा सकती है, तो एक ही रह सकता है, and puja and pollution, they cannot come together. Puja and pradushan दोनों साथ साथ नहीं हो सकते हैं. तो जिनकी हम पूजा करते हैं, जिनको हम माँ मानते हैं, जिनको हम माँ गंगा, right? How can we simultaneously filthy her waters, right? So I think the idea that okay, इसको यहाँ पे पहले तो घाट कंस्ट्रक्ट किया जाए, और घाट कंस्ट्रक्ट करने से पहले कमरों के पास टॉयलेट्स बनाया जाए. So at that time, Priya ji, I kid you not, this was before I had come to Rishikesh, but he tells this story quite often, and I can understand that people thought he traveled a lot, and so people thought ki, oh no, America bana rahe hai, ab kamron ke paas toilets hoga. And of course, people didn't understand that sanitation is a basic necessity of life. And if you don't have, स्वामी जी कहते हैं कि अगर सोच नहीं करो तो सोच भी साफ नहीं होगी, तो मंदिर भी नहीं जा सकते आप. So the idea of ensuring that first there's toilets, there's sanitation facilities that are available to people, and then making sure that the space near the river is restored into such a beautiful space where people naturally feel inclined to meditate, to pray, to do arti. And now, of course, Parmat Niketan, of which he is the president, is world renowned for its Ganga Aarti. But the idea and the concept of bringing Aarti to that platform was from this seed, Priyaji, कि जिस नदी को हम माँ मानते हैं, देवी मानते हैं, उस नदी के किनारे हम आरती करें, पूजा करें, योग करें, ध्यान करें, उसकी अर्चना करें, पितरों को तर्पण दे, लेकिन हम उसको कम से कम प्रदूषित ना करें. And from there, this concept that water is alive. It's not just a stagnant resource that we have, we can utilize and use and abuse and throw and exploit, but that we have to consciously protect and preserve and honor and revere water through our actions. And that, I think, gave rise to the Ganga Action Parivar, of which he is also the founder, initially to work to find solutions to improve, to bring about an Aviral and Nirmal Ganga. And of course, the Namami Gange effort had come after that, and it was so beautifully and so comprehensive that there was also then a deeper need for focusing on water security and water conservation and rivers in general, because our ability to pollute water or to take water for granted then therefore makes us take nature for granted or take rivers for granted. And so I think then we came into really establishing something that was much more global in its perspective, and the Global Interfaith WASH Alliance came about with the technical support of UNICEF, and then has been working in these years to really bring about that change.
The story itself is so inspiring. I have shivers just to listen to the story, because it's like a story of every household in India, where we think of a cleaner environment, at least near us, but do not think beyond the areas where we live in. You have also mentioned that you have initiated this nationally and then globally and then nationally. And talking about awareness and advocacy, can you share some of the work that you have done in India to bring that awareness?
Yes, I think one of the most prominent things that the Global Interfaith WASH Alliance has been able to do under the leadership of Puja Swamiji and its Secretary General Sadhvi Bhagwati Saraswati Ji, who, by the way, also 27 some years ago came to the banks of Ganga, had this very transformative, she's from abroad, she's from America, had a very transformative connection with this river, and felt this call to stay back and serve in India. And since then has been leading a number of multifaceted uh, initiatives. But uh, their ability to really bring together interfaith leaders and faith leaders that have congregations all across India. And so a lot of the work initially that GIWA really worked on was advocacy and awareness. And we've done really large summits in Ladakh, in Madhya Pradesh, in Bihar, in Assam, um, so many different states all across India. And I think utilizing also not only the summits, but utilizing faith congregations, like, for example, what we call the largest spiritual gathering of humanity, the Kumbh Mela. And really coming back to what the Kumbh Mela was all about, Priyaji, which was this manthan. We were saying the Samudra Manthan. That was the manthan that we were thinking about कि हमारे समाज में कौन सी ऐसे मुद्दे हैं जिनकी मंथन करने की आवश्यकता है और उससे जो अमृत निकलेगा, that nectar that comes out of that churning of thoughts as well, will be what will bring about that sangam, that confluence. And so the Kumbh Mela has become a platform that we utilize to really leverage the power of faith to bring that nectar that can bring more cohesiveness and more integration and harmony in our society. So whether it's the Kumbh Mela, whether it's annual festivals, like for example, यहाँ पे परमार्थ निकेतन, where Jiva is situated, is at the ashram in Parmathikitan Rishikesh, and it's at the foothills of the Himalayas, at the foothills of Nilkant Mahadev, and right near the river Ganga. And so, when your life physically is so much around nature, you are called to action. Here we celebrate annually what we call the Kawad Mela, and I think बहुत जगह ऐसे है जहाँ शिव मंदिर है और कावड़िया आते हैं. तो that is a huge shakti, right? How do you utilize those type of melas to channel the energy and a lot of youth energy to bring about direction for a positive society? And also in big festivals, the necessity and the logistics and the infrastructure of solid waste management and liquid waste management becomes even more important. And I think whether it's Kumbh Mela or these annual festivals like the Kawad Mela or even kathas, which happen every day in this country, bringing together hundreds of thousands of people, if even the faith organizations just take a pledge to be more responsible and to be that embodiment of that change, trying to strive towards bringing about more green, sustainable actions in their events, then the amount of waste that is being created and generated also reduces quite significantly. So I think Global Interfaith WASH Alliance has really brought that, you know, awareness that faith is a real change agent. And then through advocacy and awareness and through the platform of these faith-based events such as the Kumbh Mela or the Kathas, to create about this awareness. And then of course each of the faith traditions are located in, you know, regions and states that are sometimes, not always, but sometimes very ecologically sensitive regions as well. And so being able to encourage faith leaders to utilize that power to protect those regions as well, and then to encourage and inspire them to use social media and communication to inspire other faith leaders. So it's been this sort of domino effect, as you can say. And there's so many different beautiful examples that I can share, but I'll just share a few different ones, Priyaji, because I feel like a lot of people will need to see it visually to realize that what we are speaking about, because it's so special. Um, So Puja Swamiji has inspired faith leaders like Puja Morari Bapu ji, Puja Sant Ramesh Bhai Ojha ji, Bhaishi ji, Puja Madhav Priya Das ji Maharaj, to utilize kathas as platforms to, create this awareness. They already were giving these stories. They were already giving these messages. It was merely the synergy of the association to kind of channel it more and more to actually creating sustainable change. And so you see um, that just after the Swachh Bharat mission, a lot of the associations of Puja Swamiji with faith leaders, like Bapu, adopted so many hundreds of thousands of villages and built toilets there. Or, he came to meet Puja Swamiji and they were speaking about tree plantation. And then he went to a katha where he had lakhs and lakhs of people and he pledged to, plant trees, and he planted a tree during that time to begin the katha. So the power of the messaging, but the power of the example and the receptivity of people to faith-based messaging is much more different in nature than, any other messaging. And then, of course, there's these examples of, like, for example, the Swaminarayan Gurukul Parivar and their vast association in Gujarat, taking up this initiative also when Puja Swami Madhav Priyadas Ji Maharaj meeting with Puja Swamiji and, saying, Hum saath mein aapke hai, Maharaj Ji, aap jo kahenge, we're together with you. And so then he took up, 108 villages, and his, sevaks going and cleaning and sweeping and building toilets, and just the ability and the excitement when even this seva of building toilets becomes puja, becomes prayer, and becomes inspired action. Um, in addition, I remember also during the Kumbh Mela where Puja Swamiji had invited Puja Swami Ramdev Ji Maharaj, and we were talking about ministerial hygiene, Priyaji, and on that stage, it was we were launching what. So during the Kumbh Mela, we utilized each of those days for a different theme, and that was the launch of what we were saying, the Shakti Kumbh. And during the Shakti Kumbh, we were speaking about breaking the stigmas and the taboos associated with ministration, and the concept that we have ki nahi, nahi, ministration is dirty or polluted somehow. And here Baba Ramdev ji is with Puja Swamiji and members of UNICEF and so many other faith leaders and Puja Sadhi ji and female faith leaders on the stage in across from the Sangam. And you can just imagine them there, and they take the flag and they're waving off the Shakti Kumbh. And Puja Baba Ramdev ji says something about agar महामारी नहीं होती तो क्रिएशन भी नहीं होती, तो सृष्टि भी नहीं होती. And I don't remember the exact words, but I remember the next day that Times of India's first heading that came out: without ministration, there can be no creation. And the picture of Baba Ramdev ji and all these saints on that platform, and just the ability to take something that is so stigmatized in our society and to bring it to light, which is what the faith leaders and the dharmas are known for, right? And so not only within, the Hindu tradition, but also within the Buddhist tradition, within the Christian, within the Islamic, within the Jain tradition, the Baha'i, and all of the major faith traditions to utilize the presence. I know we did a program with His Holiness the Dalai Lama ji, and he came both here to Ganga to do a beautiful launch of the Ganga Action Parivar, but also in Delhi. And then we were together in Bodh Gaya, and we launched these books, Wash in Faith books and publications. And the idea that here you have the head of that lineage giving a message and really advocating for something, endorsing this message. And it's really very powerful. It's really very profound. And also, when the messaging comes, the messaging integrates the teachings of that tradition, which are inherently very much aligned to purity, to cleanliness. because those are the prerequisites to doing any puja, doing any offering. And so I think has been some of those, examples that I remember. But whether it's been, for example, in Ladakh, we were there and we had this huge event with different faith traditions came together, and we walked and we rallied and we ensured that we went to one of, the faith worship places of each faith tradition. And at the time, we had a manthan and a session with the Ladakhis on Swachh Ladakh, Swachh Bharat, because, for example, their toilets are different there, because naturally, much of the time when it's winter, uh, the ice comes along, and pipes mein ice jam jati hai. So what to do in those situations? How do we ensure open defecation is not happening at that time, and what kind of toilets to build, and what kind of toilet technology to have? And so then we realized that, okay, in addition to behavior change and advocacy and awareness, we need to do capacity building, Priyaji. We need to ensure that stakeholders are having resources and education to take the actions they need to be that change, to be that solution. So then there came this idea of the World Toilet College. And that also, so a lot of people will come and they'll come to the back of the ashram. What is this World Toilet College? And so we said, okay, the World Toilet College is a institution that really encourages education around sanitation and hygiene. So we do a number of courses through the World Toilet College, and now also the Ganga River Institute. The idea that how can we, what kind of toilets to build, what different toilet technologies are there, and then how do we synergize building toilets with women masons, so then we had this Women for Wash initiative, and then utilizing the power of Shakti to build toilets that were at the time, during the open defecation free phase of the Swachh Bharat Mission. We needed to build so many toilets and ensure that schools had toilets also. And so then there was women that were trained to build toilets as well. So the World Toilet College, the Ganga River Institute were then these capacity building initiatives to really bring about that change. And I remember also in the Kumbh Mela how we created innovation in our approach. So, I mean, जब प्रिया जी कुंभ मेला में लोग आते हैं तो क्या क्या करने आते हैं? संगम में डुबकी लगाने आते हैं, right? But we came up with this concept during the time of, I think, 2019 Kumbh in Prayagraj. Safai Vidyalay has this toilet cafes and toilet parks. So we brought the toilet park to the Kumbh Mela. So we were okay, we bring it to the Kumbh Mela, chai pe charcha karenge, toilet seat ke upar baith ke. Right. So the idea that how clean we keep our kitchens, we need to keep our toilets clean. And the conversations that we have around sanitation can become more mainstream as well. And so people literally would be so encouraged. They would take a dubki in the Sangam and they will come to the toilet cafe and have a cup of chai and have a discussion around sanitation, because all around the park were all these different toilet technologies exhibited there. Right. So I think bringing about innovation in spirituality has been something that Pujya Swamiji has been such a beautiful example of, and really utilizing, very sort of status quo type of things, and kind of changing and shifting the paradigm around it. One last thing that I think, Priyaji, I'll mention is, there's a lot of nalas that go from sort of undocumented slum areas into the rivers. And so there was this one nala that was there, that there was some viral video that went out, there's these nalas and don't come to Rishikesh and Haridwar because they're going in there. And Pujya Swamiji was like, I know Namami Gange is doing such beautiful work, and we need to come forward and tap these nalas as well. And so there was a centralized sewage treatment plant that was being built, it was still under progress. And this video was going viral, and it's like, okay, so let's do something. And we came together with some scientists at the time, and Swamiji said, "Hum sewage point ko selfie point banayenge." So it would be that these sewage points would become so beautiful that people will come and take selfies there. And we're like, okay, how do we do this? And so there was this in situ biophysical chemical remediation process, which used geomembranes, these big sacs into which the water would come in, and it would percolate with some coagulant or some chemical that was added that allows the particles to settle to the bottom, and then the water to filter out of the membrane. And then, of course, with some ozonation and some other tertiary treatment, the water is fairly good to come back into the river. Ideally, in a situation, we can reuse it and not stick it back into the river, but in the situation is better than just the gutter going into the river. So the idea was to literally in 4 days, Priyaji, this sewage to selfie point went up, and the CM of Uttarakhand had come, and he had snapped a selfie there, and it became this news. And it was just before the International Day of Yoga, when Honorable Pradhan Mantri ji was coming to Dehradun for the inauguration. So CM Sahab came the evening before, launched this, and then did yoga day the next day in the morning, and Swamiji was there, because the idea that this is yoga, this is yoga, this is adhyatma, this is spirituality, this is actually working for peace. And then this idea then, Priyaji, got replicated in Lucknow, and then got replicated in the Kumbh Mela in 2019, where Honorable Chief Minister, Pujya Mahant Yogi Adityanath ji, he saw the ability of this technology to work in a short period of time, and then took it up. So I think what GIWA also has been able to do is take on technologies and to give a pilot of it, and then to advocate for policy level adaptation of these technologies, such that there can be shorter term decentralized solutions that are available. So it's something that I think the vast number of initiatives that we've done really illustrates the ability of faith to percolate into every region of our society to be that change that is needed.
It's very fascinating. I've been lost in all the stories that you have been telling, and just imagining how it would have been, because in India we know that when there is any katha or any sort of faith event, there are lakhs and millions of people coming to these kathas. And I could just imagine the impact of these kathas over those people. Talking about so much of integration with Swachh Bharat Mission, it has been 10 years, right? And I think it's almost in parallel with what you are doing. And do you feel that the conversation which is happening at policy level, or at our national level by our leaders, uh, it is the same conversation that is happening at our faiths, where all the faiths are coming together and trying to build an environment where we can talk about sanitation. And so inspiring to listen to you that people are, even faith leaders are talking about mensuration, which is also very very neat to my idea. If you could highlight few initiatives that Jiva is doing and are very much parallel, apart from, I know that you have highlighted a few, uh, which are very much aligned to what Swachh Bharat is leaning towards and what faith leaders are leaning towards.
So a number of different examples I've already shared, but I think initially when Swachh Bharat Mission was launched, there was a call of to faith leaders and faith traditions to really advocate for encouraging people to utilize the toilets. टॉयलेट बना तो दिया, लेकिन टॉयलेट को वेयर हाउस की तरह यूज किया जा रहा है, या टॉयलेट को एक और they were such nice looking toilets in certain areas. People would utilize it for some other purpose. And so the idea was, how do you address these issues now that the government is sort of launching this vast mass mission. And I think that it's been such a joy to see the alignment of the vision of our honorable prime minister and the sort of unanimous coming together of faith leaders to support his vision. And because his vision is for everyone, and it's really in the hit of the nation, the Swachh Bharat Mission was so easy for us to, galvanize faith leaders. So I remember we did a number of public service announcements with really high level faith leaders coming together, as some of whom I've mentioned already, giving these short bites on, how Swachhata is so important, and how Krishna Swamiji says meditation and sanitation must go hand in hand. And how building a toilet near your home is not dirty or is not contaminating your home, and what we call myth bustions. So we created these little short bites and we played them all around the Kumbh Mela, which, as you know, brings together millions and millions of people. So I think the ability to disseminate messaging, and faith-based messaging being a little bit more creative and assimilative in nature, um, rather than sort of isolated. Uh, so I think people were able to really get that messaging, and it's been amazing. Like in for example, the Ujjain Kumbh Mela, the ability to take, there was a survey that was done and a study that was done to see how these messages were being utilized. And I think there was like some 80 to 90% of people saying yes, they recall these messaging, and they are going to be more inclined to working towards it. Now, a lot of work that faith leaders do, um, and we can talk about the challenges, is that we're not able to measure the impact of those uh, efforts. So I think, immensely, as the Swachh Bharat Mission was launched, these mass messaging, the utilization of the platforms and the resources and the stakeholders that the faith leaders influence to kind of address the obstacles that might come in adaptation of, okay, toilet बना लिया, okay, infrastructure दे दिया, लेकिन तभी उसकी utilization नहीं हो रही है, या utilization हो रही है लेकिन उसकी maintenance नहीं हो रही है, उसकी sustenance नहीं हो रही है. So I think our role has been to really encourage faith leaders to help with those elements. Also, I think, how do we take some of those really taboo issues, such as menstruation, and bring a voice to it, and utilize what people considered such a sacred space. See, let's talk about menstruation from this space. And the fact that it doesn't even, Priyaji, sometimes it doesn't even matter what you say after that, although that also is impactful. But the fact that it is being said there is so powerful, And a number of times these were spaces in which women saints weren't necessarily allowed. And yet, in order to speak about it, you need women saints, right? Also. So the idea of breaking those taboos and stigmas within uh, the faith arena, but also therefore largely catalyzing a change in the society at large. And I think another beautiful recent way that we've been aligned is, in the pandemic, Priyaji. There was a lot of these messages that the government was giving about social distancing, about wearing a mask, about hygiene, and how do we utilize faith leaders to ensure that दिवाली हो रही है या ईद मनाया जा रहा है, तो people follow those guidelines, and people respect the need of the hour. And I think we were called to come forward and do that. And I think what was beautiful was that then what India was able to create was actually being looked at by countries like Africa and other countries to see how can we then leverage faith to be able to create sustainability in our efforts. So I think so many different things, Priyaji, but these were some things that also have come to mind.
Great to hear. I am mesmerized by all the initiatives that you are doing. As we are coming close to this podcast, I would like to give a message to our audience for Swachhata, uh, for awareness, for cleanliness, and for faith.
I think in closing, Priyaji, the theme of this year, which is Swabhav Swachhata, Sanskar Swachhata, I feel like is so beautifully aligned to faith. Because स्वभाव और संस्कार में परिवर्तन धर्म ही ले आता है ना. So what the Swachh Bharat Mission is now saying is it's literally saying, it's hinting to us that this is not a one day, this is not a 14-day, this is not a 10-year, this is a lifetime. This is a culture, this is a nature. And this then, as Pujya Swamiji says, it will determine the future of our nation. And when you have, Pujya Bapu Mahatma Gandhi Ji, who says, Swachhata, Swatantrata se bhi zyada zaruri hai. Something that he advocated for was Swatantrata. He's known for Swatantrata, but to him, in his very nature, was Swachhata. And on a most gross level, we see that swachhata in our communities, कि हम झाड़ू लगा रहे हैं, हम solid waste management कर रहे हैं, हम sewage waste management कर रहे हैं. But अगर स्वच्छता हमारे स्वभाव में है, हमारे संस्कार में है, तो वो हमारे विचारों में भी होना चाहिए. तो जो हम भेदभाव करते हैं, कि जो सफाई मित्र है या पर्यावरण मित्र है, उनकी सुरक्षा, उनकी स्वास्थ्य, ये हमारी जिम्मेदारी है. हमारा कचरा तो हमारी जिम्मेदारी है, बट वो जो इस कचरा की सही से डिस्पोजल कर रहे हैं, उनकी भी सुरक्षा हमारी जिम्मेदारी है. एंड इट्स जस्ट सो ब्यूटिफुल टू सी this theme that we've been given is really calling to us all to utilize the power of our faith and our values to be that embodiment of cleanliness at the level of our thought, at the level of our speech, at the level of our action, such that Swachh Bharat is a Samriddha Bharat, is a Swatantra Bharat. And the theme of this year has this theme song, yeah, Swachhame Vijayate. So beautiful, right? Because if you don't have Swachhata, you don't have Satyame Vijayate. Truth comes where there is cleanliness, where there is purity. where there is a harmony between what we're thinking, what we're feeling, and what we're doing. And so I think it's really beautiful that in closing, each of us, no matter who we are, whether we're a faith leader or not, to be utilizing our impact and our influence to work together to create our individual lives, our home, our communities, our cities or our rural town, or our country, our states, our countries, or our nation, to be places in which there is cleanliness, because that's the prerequisite to health, to happiness, to sustainability and progress and prosperity. And each of us must do our part to make that ahuti, to make that contribution into this yajna, which has been the Swachh Bharat Mission. It has been the dream of Mahatma Gandhi. It's been the call of our Honorable Prime Minister. And it's been these concerted efforts of all these faith traditions to bring about that cleanliness and purity in our lives. So I think that's really the call for each of us to take from this conversation.
Thank you, Ganga Nandini Ji. With such a beautiful note, we wrap up today's session. It's clear that the journey between faith and action is powerful catalyst for change. Together, through collaboration and commitment, we can continue to drive the vision and mission of Swachh Bharat forward, fostering cleaner and healthier India. Thank you, Kiran.